They have been called eco-pirates, even terrorists, but the people in the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society call themselves by a different name, activists. Their mission, to stop Japanese whaling ships from capturing and killing whales in the name of research. The group has taken the law into their own hands and has vowed to stop this practice by any non-violent means necessary. It all adds up to high drama on the high seas. Captain Paul Watson and Kim McCoy headed up this Antarctic expedition as part of Animal Planet's new reality show, Whale Wars. Paul and Kim, good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Let's give people a little background here. Back in, I think it was 1986, basically a moratorium was put into effect. So you can't do whaling on the open seas anymore except in the name of research. Has the moratorium been effective in your opinion?
Well, they killed almost 18,000 whales since the moratorium.
As opposed to what number would have been killed had it not been in effect?
Should be zero. The Japanese are targeting endangered species in an established whale sanctuary in violation of this global moratorium. It's highly illegal.
Basically, what the Japanese do, according to the research I've heard, is that in some occasions they're putting the word research on the side of their vessels because a certain number of whales are allowed to be taken for research purposes. So you feel they're exploiting a loophole?
Yeah, well, from 1951 to 1986, a total of 961 whales were taken for research. Since 1986, it's been 18,000, and they haven't published a single peer-reviewed scientific paper on this.
Kim, your organization basically says we're going to stop this practice, and you're going to do it in what you consider to be non-violent means, and that means confronting the Japanese whaling ships or research ships on the open seas, and you fire bad butter bombs at them and pies and even ram the ships from time to time. Why isn't that breaking the law?
Well, everything that we do is mandated under the United Nations World Charter for Nature. Provision 21E in particular says that any non-governmental organization or even an individual has an obligation to go out and uphold international conservation law.
But if you go as far as to ram another vessel in the open seas, can you call that non-violent? And aren't you putting lives at risk?
Well, in our 31 years of operation, we've never caused a single injury, and that's a record we're really proud of. We take every precaution to protect all living beings, human and non-human.
Have you been put in jail?
We've never been convicted of a crime, we've never been sued, and we've never injured anyone. We have an unblemished record.
Some of these confrontations get quite aggressive. We'll show a little bit of tape, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Incoming! Heads down! He's aiming straight at us and he's throwing flashbangs. Come on! Shots fired. Captain was shot.
Now, those were, what, concussion grenades that were being thrown?
Yes.
And it's my understanding that in that particular altercation, you were actually shot in the chest?
Yes, I mean, we throw rotten butter at them, and they respond by firing at us and throwing concussion grenades, but I was wearing a Kevlar vest, so that I would have been killed if it wasn't for that.
I mean, who would think that in conservation efforts you have to go out wearing a Kevlar vest? It seems a little outrageous.
Well, we're talking about disrupting their profit.
And so you're talking about getting in the way of big business. What do you say to the people, Paul and Kim, who are watching, saying, we applaud your efforts to save whales, but taking the law into your own hands is taking the law into your own hands, and it crosses a line?
We have all the laws and treaties we need to protect the oceans, to protect the whales. The problem is it's not being enforced.
If lack of will or lack of manpower?
Lack of political and economic will.
It's both.
And if the governments of the world would do this job, we wouldn't have to. We would gladly step back if the governments would uphold their responsibility to protect the oceans.
So without getting too political, what is the one lesson? What's the takeaway you want viewers to get if they sit down and watch this show?
That we have to save the whales, because if we can't save something as magnificent as the whales, we're not going to save the oceans. If we can't save the oceans, we're not going to save ourselves.
Paul Watson and Kim McCoy, thanks very much.